here.
So do you feel pressure from, not even necessarily from your people, but because you are the leader of this organization, do you feel pressure to be perfect?
I don't feel pressure anymore. When I first started,
You let that go. You laid that burden down.
girl, let me tell you something. When I first started, I thought because I'm coming from my previous experience of you got to have it together. We're told that you can't make any mistakes. You're the leader, so you got to know everything. So I've had to, in the last 12 years, really walk that out. So now, no, I don't have that pressure. I am a very transparent leader. Especially over the last 2 years, I just moved, or in the process of moving, my headquarters from Huntsville, that's been there for 10 years, to Atlanta, a whole thing. I don't know nothing about anything here. So it's been very humbling. And it's been very like, Brittany, you're gifted. But God is at the hem of all of this at the end of the day. So you don't have to try to have it all together, because for 2.5 years, you couldn't even show up for this and it still was sustained.
Why?
Right,
Because you weren't there?
So a few things happened. The pandemic happened. I moved. So I had hired a whole team in Huntsville. I moved to Atlanta to help plant a church. During that time, we were so busy doing the work here, I couldn't be in both places.
Gotcha.
And so, I coming back now and stuff still. And I'm like, girl, you wasn't holding this together anyway. So you just do your little bit, and God takes a little and makes it the great thing that people see. And so I no longer feel that pressure, but initially I did feel a pressure to perform, to be perfect. But when I tell everybody the story. When I first started Saving the City, I was preaching purity. I was preaching, girl, wait until you get married and do all of this stuff.
You
girl,
felt like you needed to?
5 months in, I get an STD. All the shame, all the condemnation, all that internal voice telling you, oh, who are you to kind of get up here or whatever. But when I started to understand God loved me through that, and that was going to be a part of my testimony. It was going to be even more that these women are going through real stuff. They're not looking for somebody that got it all together. They're looking for some people that's dealing with the stuff they're dealing with, but still courageously choosing to show up. And so that's what I tell the ladies that's a part of our ministry. Like, girl, the only difference between me and you is I share my business with y'all. I still keep getting up here and telling y'all the stuff that I'm going through, and I'm learning as you all are learning as well. That's the only difference between me and y'all. So it's been a journey of those ups and downs, those ins and outs, and me learning and grace and love and all of that, acceptance of myself as I've been walking out, what I feel like I've been purposed to do.
Have you noticed a difference in maybe the outcomes when you went from trying to present perfectly to, girl, I got me an STD, girl, baby, we trying to figure it out?
For sure. I think there's always been a level of genuineness to even when I was trying to figure it out. I think people always connected to my genuineness. Like, okay, she ain't got it together, but she, so I do think there's another level of freedom in what we do now, because I'm free. But I think so. And I think times have evolved as well. We're talking about 2010, right? And now it's 2023. So how we need to show up to connect with these women it's evolved. And so I think I've evolved as times have evolved, and as I've healed and as I've grown. And so, it just looks a little different now, but the mission is still the same.
How about dating?
Yes, girl, let's talk about
dating as a church girl. Are you offended when I say church girl?
No, I'm not offended.
Dating as a church girl, not just a church girl, but as the leader of this faith-based organization.
Yeah,
that seems like some pressure.
Yeah, so it's a little interesting.
It's got to be interesting. So do you date church guys, church boys?
So let me tell you my background first.
Okay.
Because again, I told you I just came into this thing. So growing up, I really like the thugs. I got a lot of stories I would tell to the ladies that come to our Bible studies and stuff, but just all the types of men I've dealt with. I'm like, girl, are you okay? Like, some of these you almost died. Like, one time I was on a date, the man tried to steal a car. Like, we done been on all extremes. So
that is an extreme.
So, so my preference, I think, has evolved as I've grown and as I've healed, but that hasn't been my preference, because again, I didn't choose this life. I feel like this life chose me. And so I'm not out here like, well, let me find a church man, but for me and where I am and what I carry, a man of God he's going to have to be a man of God because of what I do. Like we have to be synced there. And I think if he doesn't have grace or a capacity for the level of which I do or an understanding, it's going to be hard for us to walk together because this is a whole nother world doing ministry and the demands it puts on you and all of those things. And so I'm going to have someone that is understanding, that's patient, and our faith and value system line up because this is such a big part of my life.
So I did want to ask you that because you mentioned he has to be a man of God.
Yeah.
Does he have to be a man of Jesus?
Yes, he does have to.
Okay,
for
so
me
specifically,
yes,
because of what you do, and you know, he got to get with the program. Basically.
Yeah, he got to now. And I think a lot of faith-based women, though, the issue I've seen over the years is they're looking for someone that it looks just like how they do it. Everybody's faith is expressed differently. And so he may not, I tell the church girls all the time, he may not be fasting and praying all day long. Who gonna pay the bills, right? And so I think being open to the expressions of what faith looks like. Like, yeah, he gonna have to rock with them, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But how he expresses that doesn't have to look the same way of how I express my faith.
Now, what if he expresses it more than you? Like, would you be down for like a pastor? Could you be the first lady?
You know, me and the Lord done talked about that. That's what he wants, child. But it's gonna have to be fresh. It's gonna have to be dope. It can't be stale and it can't be dry.
I think it will be your version of it. So I'm sure
as long as we can do that the way we've done everything else, I'm down with it. I've learned in my life that when I try to pick and when I try to do it, it don't really work out. So even if I'm hesitant at first, if I feel like this is how God is leading me, I'm like, I'm learning now. Let's roll with it because you really know what's best for me. So if that's what you want, then I'll roll with that. So.